The thing that you, so interestingly enough, when you talk about that group, the faculty and professional staff, for the sake of discussion, they are a rhizomatic organization. Now, what do I mean by that? What's a rhizome? Anybody? Yeah.
Like an underground root system?
It's an underground root system, yes. As a matter of fact, the single largest living organism on this planet Earth is a rhizome, interestingly enough, okay? So it's a root structure that, and it's right under us, and it's going to go anyway. But anyway, it's a root structure that has nodes. And if you ever grow a dahlia, or you have any kind of rhizome that you grow, you know, I mean, you've all bought a potato, have you not? And had a potato have eyes that suddenly start sprouting on you, okay? Well, they don't all sprout at the same time, do they? And they function because they use the, you know, the energy from the cellular structure of the actual tuber itself, and they begin to send off these little shoots and so on and so forth. The fact of the matter is that every single rhizome has the capacity to have these nodular portions of it that remain dormant at a particular point in time. And then you never quite know when, it's not like the whole thing becomes active at once, okay? Potatoes are forced into that because of the weird situation where they're sitting on your counter pretending they will be eaten someday. But the fact of the matter is that all of a sudden these nodes start to have life. And other nodes just kind of sit there. Nothing, doesn't seem to be anything going on, but in fact something is going on. In the same way that when a bear is hibernating, something's going on. It's in a state of dormancy, but that doesn't mean it's in a state of complete inactivity. So that's the way the organizational structure works in academia, where all of a sudden you will have this burst of energy in a particular part of the organization. And all kinds of things are happening over here. And it could be because of stressors in society that are driving a response in that particular discipline. It can be because suddenly those stressors have led to opportunities for grant funding. It can be because you have individuals who have a particular vision or a particular idea as to how to move forward with something new in the field, you know. There's a whole host of reasons why this happens, but that's why when you look at the history of any organization that has a rhizomatic structure, you're going to see periods of incredible progressiveness and incredible activity in particular nodes at given points in time, okay? Not every node is always active. Now, let's take those two organizations. One hand you got hierarchy, the other hand you've got rhizomatic. Do they mesh? No. They don't know how to communicate, okay? They're like cells. You know how at the end of DNA you got the little hooks, you know, when you see those little visual, what are they called, prions? There they are, okay, and they're supposed to connect. Well, they can't because they're different shapes. You know, everything in nature has this wonderful kind of capacity for the receptor and so on and so forth to be able to accommodate, you know, the other end of the receptor. And in this particular situation, they can't, because people who are working in a hierarchical organization expect there to be a similar response from the rest of the institution. This is why, in academia, there will always be tension between the staff, the professional staff, the faculty, and the administration, because they're working from two different communication models and two different styles. Does that make sense? The successful people are the ones who can recognize, even if they don't intellectually recognize it, but they intuitively grasp that they need to change their expectations and change their mode of communication to deal with people from the different organizations. It's kind of like you wear shoes when you go to visit the administration. You know, you might not wear shoes all the time if you're walking around your lab or whatever. You should, but nonetheless, okay. You know, I mean, you just do a certain thing. You'll notice that people dress differently most of the time if they're going to go for an appointment at Green Hall. Why? Because that's the land of the suits. You know, so we all know about those things intuitively. But the fact, and we know that that's what's going to get us to a certain point, but the fact of the matter is we don't articulate it. We don't necessarily parse it and say, okay, let's decode this and figure out why this is happening. Well, there's an example of why it's happening. So, having said that, one of the things I want you to do is to start paying more attention to what kind of organization are you in? You know, this classroom, this design of this classroom absolutely sucks. That's a technical term, okay? And why does it suck? Anybody? Yeah.
I don't even know who's down there.
Oh, you
At the
can't.
end of the table?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I heard someone walk in and I was like, oh, it's Karen.
Right, okay, so your sight lines are terrible for you.
Yeah.
Okay. The sight lines are set up for my benefit, are they not? Okay, they're absolutely for my benefit. So I am the privileged person in terms of sight lines. And yet, the people who are here who have the greatest investment really in terms of learning and need to have the greatest tentacles in terms of interaction with each other are you. But I'm privileged.